Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. LightsThunderAction will be on in just a moment with LOKI Special 3 featuring Julia Delbel. We'll be on right after these songs.
But if I had an opportunity to let these little young side know something, take care of y'all bodies, you know what I mean? Don't take care of y'all chicken. You feel me? Don't take care of y'all mentals, because little we ain't lasting that long.
Okay, see, I'm a tad bit eclectic. Thoughts tangential and torredic. Sprinkle ADHD and my dreams become prophetic. Deaths and overdoses, suicide and wedding dresses. A curse that evolves and messes her a gift that truly blesses. Visions of a future of successes. Yet me and these ladies are impressed with. Girls be thinking I'm obsessive or I'm thirsty.
How do I tell them I feel unworthy?
They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. I can write, direct, and act. Can even rhyme and rap. Humble and don't see it as a big deal. Why is that? Well, I was used, abused, beaten, bad, and made this set and played by myself. Yeah, it's whack. See, I grew up lonely and sad, got angry like my dad, spit venom like my mom, and grew to hate myself along the way. I never learned the social skills to play in the world, but shit was just a fad. I finally gotten full mad. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. Imposter syndrome makes me mope. Tell them. My emotions are a kaleidoscope. Winter words does that make me feel worthy? Yet nope, therapy has taught me how to cope. Damn. I've learned it can't be done by smoking dope, or getting blackout drunk like a trope, or me and women too on Robin Pro, or getting busy cause it makes my heart want to explode. Damn. I learned you just gotta meditate when you're feeling angry and you're straight hating. Damn. Your life and your friends think you're flaking. Damn. If only they can know what I'm debating. Damn. If only women knew what I was waiting. Tell them. Easy for the other guys, for me frustrates, and my brain's in another dimension translates in the pain in my heart as I write this saying. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie.
If you got problems in your life, or you just feel like you need to talk to somebody, please do. It's important to take care of our mental health, because otherwise, we're crazy like the rest of the world. I hope you find peace and love.
Can't you see we got 1,130,000 zombies? It's like all the living dead that go. Buzz, buzz all around your head that go. Zombies. Zombies. Z-O-M-B-E-Z. Zombies. Z-O-M-B-E-Z. Zombies. science. Genetically altered minds infested these were dead. But they rose from the grave instead. The animated zombie days ago. Buzz, buzz, all they please. C-O-M-B-E-Z. Zombies. C-O-M-B-E-Z. Zombies. C-O-M-B-E-Z.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are live with the hot.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, June 24th, 2021. Welcome to LOKI Special Episode 3 of Lights, Thunder, Action, where every week two Thunder buddies discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm the son of Dale, a.k.a. Thomas Carter Rochester.
And I'm David Thompson, and today we've got a big show planned for you guys, of course, discussing episode 3 of Loki titled Lamentis. We'll get into what that means in just 1 second with a very special guest rejoining us from next week. But before we get to her...
From next week or last week?
From last week. You know,
Spider-Man!
Time's relative, man, and I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering where I was, I am behind the mask. Anyone can wear the mask. And yes, we are joined again by Julia Delbel. We'll get to her in one moment. Thomas, what do you got for me before we get to Loki?
Huzzah, it worked. I am copy and pasting Photoshop stuff because time is relative and we're always working. As you all know, David, I don't know, man. Is the script different? I feel like I'm missing something. I'm blind. I never learned how to read. Got for you, David. I don't know why you trust me to read things. Every week we're live streaming directly into your homes and phones via Facebook, via all the internet, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find all of those links at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. We are live to the LightsThunderAction Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the HWWSWebTV family. We're with them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as well. David, where can everyone find the audio version of the podcast? Because we have faces born for radio.
Yeah. Just like this. Yes, guys, you guys can find the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, our hosting site Spreaker, along with a bevy of other audio podcast platforms. Please let us know if you use an audio platform that we are not on at LightsThunderAction. Please let us know. We will try to get on there as best we can. We want to be able to we want you to be able to find us wherever we stream, all over the place. We are audio podcasts all over the place, so please let us know. Everything should be up to date on the audio podcast. Our full catalog of live shows, and interviews, log shows, and also a little tease. So me and my buddy of mine, Kevin Budasang, from Florida Tech, where I went to school, may be, I'm going to tease it as a maybe, it's a strong possibility, we will be bringing back a only audio version of a movie review podcast that we used to call A-Lister Movie Reviews, of course, inspired by having the AMC A-List subscription service, which is now finally coming back with the theaters reopening, at least here in the U.S. That's a jab at our guest in one moment. And tonight, I believe we will be reviewing F9. We're going to go out to see that. And the audio version, because that's the only version of that podcast, we will be posting on the Lights Thunder Action feed. So you now will be able to find our show and possibly that show whenever we feel like doing those reviews on those audio platforms. So please check that out as well. There should be one up tomorrow, I hope. If everything goes well, there'll be a lot more content from us. But all right.
Yes.
That is it.
LTA list coming in hot.
Oh,
thank you.
nice.
Always gotta stay on brand, man.
Yeah.
But you didn't come here just for listening to us or looking at our ugly faces. No, you came here for expert advice and information from a brilliant human being beaming in from Ontario, Canada. Writer extraordinaire from the Direct, the Mary Sue, the Illuminati, and Murphy's Multiverse, Julia Delbel.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome in, Julia. Once again, you're joining us. I don't know how we got you to return. We're a bunch of knuckleheads talking about Loki, but thank you so much for coming back again and joining us for episode 3 of Loki. We're halfway through this series now.
Wow.
And that's honestly hard to believe, really.
No.
I mean, like it's really flying by. It'll be done through a little
20
bit into
days.
July
20 days.
14th.
20 days.
Yeah, that week, the week when it's July 7th, Loki, and July 9th, Black Widow. That's gonna be one of the best weeks in Marvel history. I mean, it's so cool to think that we're gonna get 2 Marvel MCU projects in 1 week. I mean, I couldn't have ever seen the day happening, and now with Disney Plus, it's possible. So Julia, how you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm good, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. Thomas, how you doing, bud?
I am good. I keep looking at the camera that doesn't exist up here. I'm good, man. I've been working. I'm exhausted. I won't lie to you. I kind of did this thing yesterday where I forgot to eat.
Oh no.
That's no good.
Yeah, no. I woke up at 2:00 in the morning to watch Loki, which was probably the best part of my day. Went to work, and then I worked till 1 and was like, oh, I probably should have ate lunch or like a second breakfast. I'll eat when I get home. And then I got home and just sat on the couch. And then the dryer caught fire.
Oh my gosh, that's right. That's terrible.
I mean, it is terrible, but it's also kind of cool. And it makes the story decent, you know? So
yeah,
I'm trying to watch Loki for the second time. And all of a sudden, I just smell smoke. Electrical fire smoke, to be specific. And then all of a sudden, it took me, a couple minutes to find the source. It was the dryer. I don't know what. I think what had happened was a pair of boxers got caught in the drum and stopped it from spinning. Thus, the heat kept going as it not spin. Lights lent on fire. Lent catches to boxers. Boxers and the dryer were the only damage. So everyone's safe. We can breathe. And shit, happy Loki's Day, right?
Right.
David, how be you?
I be good, man. You guys can probably see I got this new mic arm here, which I'm super excited about. I'm moving back home to my parents' house pretty soon, and I got my new desk set up. And so this mic's gonna be staying here. It'll be a weird kind of moment for me in the next few weeks, but I'm very, very happy with this new mic. It's nice and sturdy, and I just like to play around with it, and I'm happy because I've always wanted one of these. It takes away from having that bass right in front of me. I can move it a bit. I'm very happy about that. And yeah, I'm doing great, man. Loki, I will say, kind of a little bit of a segue. I really liked Loki this week, and I saw some people criticizing it a bit, which I understand because it's a slower episode. And Thomas, you might be surprised because I used to complain and moan about the Mandalorian filler episodes, but to me, this was way less of a filler episode like those Mandalorian chapters, because in those Mandalorian chapters, I know you love how I'm bringing this up, Thomas. It felt like they were taking such like a sidestep left turn, not even really to do with the plot. Almost, it felt in episode or in season 1. I'm sorry, it felt like they were setting up for season 2, which they did in a lot of ways, especially with that Bill Burr episode in season 1 that you loved, and I'm like, yeah, it was good. But in this, just still
a top 3 episode of the whole series.
This is good. In Loki episode 3, it was just, the first 2 episodes were kind of really moving forward with the plot a lot with the TVA with Loki. We brought in a whole lot of new information, and this was sort of similar, but it was more character driven, which I love, right? And I think the show needed this kind of breadth of an episode, and even by the end, it was pure chaos. And I feel like it's setting up for episodes 4 and 5 that Tom Hiddleston has teased as being 2 of the episodes he's the most excited for fans to see. So I really enjoyed this episode talking about Loki.
Way to segue hard right in there, because now I'm just primed. The foreplay's been laid. Let's talk Loki. But take a momentary swift ad break. But before we jump off of the visual media, just remember that if you go to suncoastfanfest.com, you'll be able to get 10% off your tickets if you enter the promo code of Hangin21. That is capital HANGIN 21. Suncoastfanfest.com. Again, that'll get you 10% off your tickets for Suncoast Fan Fest, September 24th to the 26th in Bradenton Area Convention Center. Obviously, Bradenton, Florida. If you like the art behind me, since we're in the ad section, to the left, MarcyMoonArt.com. She's brilliant. She works up here in the panhandle of Florida. She also does a wicked awesome Deadpool Mandalorian. If you want to see what that looks like, you can go to my YouTube channel where I A, interview her, and B, do a voiceover for her as Deadpool Mandalorian.
Very cool.
Excuse me, Deadpoolorian. And then to the right, as always, J Bauer Art, which, here you go. J Bauer Art has the graphic design skills you need to develop your next logo, and at an affordable price. But he's not just a one-trick pony. Follow J Bauer Art on social media to interact during live paintings and see all of his previous artwork, which you can buy exclusively at jbauerartshop.com. Not only is he an artist, this beautiful son of a blue brings you the Back Talk with Bauer podcast every week with unique guests. And every month he hosts a special Back Talk with Friends episode that can only be described as chaotic and hilarious. Need a video intro or commercial? J Bauer Art has you covered. For all of this and more, follow J Bauer Art on social media. That's JBAUERART. Check out jbauerart.com for a full portfolio and jbauerartshop.com to buy that special painting for you and your loved ones.
Welcome, Glasscock Park, to this glorious day.
Today is your lucky day. We got some great stuff. This is Glasscock Park. Marvelous.
Thank you.
Come on, let's go. I don't have all day, people.
Now, it's time.
Tell your friends, huh?
A small town coroner has to team up with her ex-fiancé to save her town from a swarm of mutant honeybees. There's action, drama, humor, maybe even a flamethrower or two. There's definitely a ton of bad bee puns and a very unlikely Hawaiian-wearing hero, dude. This classic sci-fi feature cheese fest, written and directed by Alicia Marie and starring local talent from the Emerald Coast, invites you to join our journey from conception to reception by visiting Linktr.com/Zombies the Movie to keep up with all the buzz and donate to GoFundMe. That's Linktr.com/Zombies the Movie, ZOMBEEZTHE movie. And we're back in the low-key. Ooh.
All right, so before the ad break, I kind of gave my initial kind of review of the episode. Julia, I want to hear kind of your general thoughts on the episode before I dive into the plot.
Okay. It was interesting that they did another one of these like more character-based episodes because the whole series really is a character study more. I mean, obviously it's going to lead to stuff as well, like Multiverse of Madness stuff, and I think that's the brilliant thing about it. But the main focus is Loki as a character, and so we had the first episode, which people said was too much about him as a character. Although that one I think did have more like action and stuff in it, just because they had to catch us up on everything. It felt like we were getting to know more. Yeah. And then this one, which is more just like really, really just character focused and inward focusing. But it's hard because I know people are calling this one filler, and I don't know whether I'd call it that or not, because we haven't seen the other episodes, so it's hard to judge. I'm guessing I'm gonna say it's not filler in the end, but I think there's less going on in this one than there is in the previous episodes, and hopefully the future ones, because I do like when stuff happens. This one definitely felt on the shorter side, so yeah, I think in general that just makes it feel like that. But like, it was different. It was good. I like the other two more. I think they were just more because they did more stuff, a bit more dynamics and stuff going on. I mean, there was good. It was just, this one was basically just Loki and Sylvie. So it's like, it's just them. So there really wasn't much else. So it's like I don't want to say one note, but like compared to the other ones, it was kind of one note, especially compared to last week's. So hopefully we get a bit more dynamics, because I really did love last week when we went to all these different time periods and we still had the time to sit down and have those conversations. So I like when kind of everything's in the mix. But yeah, this was still a good episode. I'm interested in where it leads, because it could lead somewhere I really like or somewhere I really don't like. So get into that.
Right. Thomas, what did you think of this? Just some general thoughts.
General thoughts. Got a salute to the general of thoughts. I actually loved it. Again, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I the night before I was like, I'm not even that hype. I'm just exhausted. Like, I'm already exhausted, which is normally a terrible sign before waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Let me assure you, children and adults. So I wake up, I'm watching it, it ends, and I'm like, okay, it's a how do I put this? It's a bit of a filler episode. But then I went ahead and I tweeted out, I'm trying to find it somewhere. I said it feels like the all-important plot halting filler episode that really barely moves the story forward, other than background on, I said, the Sylvie variant. There's some beautiful nuggets of important self-reflection and revelations on the TVA. I'm excited for next week. There's, as Julia pointed out in response to that tweet, there's actually not a lot of hard facts that we get about Sylvie. Yeah. In reading through and trying to decide the character's choices and the mindset behind it all, because I never look at the surface. I always confuse things as information. I picked up that she is very guarded. She doesn't trust anyone. And I'll save that. I'll save that one. I'll get for later, because it's a whole rabbit hole.
Oh my gosh, I think I know what it might be. Okay, we're not going to get into that.
All right. Before, there's a lot of rabbit holes to get into with this. I'm going to go through the plot. So there was a Sylvie featurette that came out. Everyone go out and check it out if you want to. I will say, Thomas, did you watch the featurette? I sent it to you.
I'm watching it right as we now speak.
Okay. Because it's a touch spoilery, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
stop 18 seconds in.
Yeah, so I'm like, let's just pass on that, honestly. I thought it was pretty good, and I'm excited for the future that it told, but we don't really need. You know what? We don't really need to show that. I'm gonna dive into the plot here, get through that, and then we'll go from there. Here's the plot that I wrote up today while rewatching it. Inside Hunter C20's head, they're drinking margaritas. Sylvie's trying to dig out info. It's a weird opening. I know Matt Rimke over at the Direct Podcast really liked it. I'm like, it was pretty good in my opinion. It wasn't that spectacular, but it was totally interesting and gave us more of an insight into Sylvie's, her powers that we get more of her explaining them later, which I really enjoyed. Loki and Sylvie are not on the same page while inside the TVA, which is where they vanished to at the end of episode 2. They're fighting. They're not agreeing. They're just not on the same page at all. Finally, after the TVA is about to take him down, Loki escapes to Lamentis 1 in the year 2077, which is a moon planet that is about to be destroyed by a moon that is about to be destroyed by an incoming planet. Sorry. And she's like, oh, like, this is the worst possible apocalypse to come to, because obviously it's funny. I liked how there was a line where it's like she had apocalypses saved into her temp pad where she could just be jumping around from one to the other, because that's her whole bit. The temp pad is broken, so now they cannot be, they can't immediately go. It's out of power at this point in time. This is where we get the line where she explains that she is Sylvie, and that's not, this is where it gets interesting, because it doesn't seem that she is exactly the Sylvie from the comics. It seems like she is a Loki variant, that she is Lady Loki to some degree, that has taken on a new alias called Sylvie. So similar, me and Matt Rimke, I just mentioned him. We worked on an article together for thedirect.com talking about how it could be an amalgamation character where she is Lady Loki, she is Sylvie, she is Enchantress, and it's all one character. And right now we're looking pretty good on that. So I'm pretty happy about that article. Yes, Julia.
Okay. So in terms of who she is, I think I've kind of, not totally figured it out, I should say, but I guess I think I figured out how Enchantress is going to come into play here.
Yeah.
So, in WandaVision, at the end of WandaVision, where she gets her new suit and becomes Scarlet Witch. Yes. And then in Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson gets Captain America's suit and becomes Captain America.
Right.
I think because we already have Loki. He's already there. We already know he's Loki. Like, what else can he turn into? He doesn't have any other, I guess he can change from the God of Mischief to, the God of Stories or something. I don't know, because people have been saying that might happen. I think we're going to get Sylvie officially calling herself Enchantress, or someone calling her Enchantress.
Yes.
Maybe she gets another suit. I don't know. To go with the tradition, maybe. But I think that's how that's going to come into play. It's going to come into play towards the end of the series. But she will be known as Enchantress, because it's clear she has the powers of Enchantress. It'd be weird if they just completely ignored that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, they're gonna mention Enchantress because they've already said enchanting in regards to her, right? So yes. That's gonna happen.
I 110,000% agree with that. That's exactly like the theory where she is Loki and she is Sylvie, but then she also gets another alias or another moniker, Enchantress, and she just becomes the Enchantress of the MCU. Like, this is her origin, and from this point on, she will be known as the Enchantress. And it's perfect, right, Thomas? What do you think about that?
Yeah. That's what I think. Because that's what I thought from the very beginning. Yeah. Once the Sylvie name came through, I was like, it's not this, it's not that, it's not that. It's kind of, we're taking all these elements and we're making our own version like they have the last 10 years. So it's perfect. Yeah. I like what they're doing. And any Enchantress that we get in the MCU is awesome by my book. We'll get to how I think she gets there later. If she survives.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's keep going with the plot here. I also noted here that it seems like we still don't know a lot about Sylvie's history and how she was Loki. Now she's Sylvie. Maybe she becomes Enchantress. Just kind of where she's come from. We get bits and pieces, but not a lot here. And there's this one great line right at the scene where it's like, what exactly makes a Loki a Loki? And Hiddleston's like, independence, authority, style. And it's like, perfect. That's such a great way to describe Loki. So moving forward on Lamentis, they try to trick a woman into, using their this part was like, you want to talk about arguing for it to be a filler episode? It was like this part, it was a fun little bit where we see Loki become the guy, but it's like this serves almost, it really ultimately doesn't really serve much of a purpose. Yes,
I think it does.
Okay,
possibly. We'll get to that later on because they do mention this bit again later on, and they talk about something, and I forgot what it was. I have to go get my notes on that.
Yeah,
but continue. But yeah, I don't think this was entirely as possibly as filler as it seems right now.
Yeah, it was a fun scene, Thomas.
It tees up the love conversation later on.
Yeah.
I'm saying in that conversation harkens back to it, and that's kind of what I'm hinting at for a future episode. But yeah, I'm just trying to go back and to find that. So just keep going. Sorry. I just wanted to say I don't think it's entirely filler necessarily. Okay.
Yeah, no, probably not. The show is, I love the show so far, and I think it's
remember, you got to remember the first episode. He talks about the TVA. He says it's conjured by the weak to inspire fear, and then that comes back at the end of that episode.
Right.
So I think there's a bunch of stuff in the show that they said, not even just in this episode, that is gonna probably come back in the future.
Totally.
So yeah, and that's one of them.
I agree. Okay, moving along. Loki and Sylvie sneak onto a train that's en route to the Ark, which is now their new goal to fuel up, charge the Tempad. The Ark is now it's a spaceship that's supposed to take off from Lamentis and save everyone who is on board. Rich people are getting on. We get a little more, it's always like that, right? The poor people can't get a ticket, even though, you get on that train with Loki and Sylvie, I want to point out, and there's plenty of space to sit around and lounge and get champagne, yet there's a bunch of poor people left behind. I thought that was an interesting little thing they added to the episode. Inside the train on the way to the Ark, Loki talks about how his mom taught him magic. I love this scene of just them talking back and forth and Loki explaining and doing the fireworks out of his hands. So cool. Sylvie seems to have very little memory of her family, which I thought was interesting. It's like a very young age. It seems like she really has no memory. It's like a dream, she says. It's like a lost and forgotten dream, which I think is very key to this character. Next up, Sylvie taught herself how to do the enchantment, all of that magic she's learned and performing on people, which I think is very interesting and will lead to more later down the line. I like later, I think I have it on here, but I'll skip there right now, when she is explaining how enchanting works and I have to get inside someone's brain and how for more simple people it's easy, but more I don't know, what's the word? Kind of like more complicated minds. It's harder, like C20 earlier in the episode. Moving right along.
Really quick, that's literally the exact same as the mind touch from Star Wars. Like the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Which I will reference Star Wars later.
All right. Good tease. This is also now where we get the love metaphors. When they're talking back and forth about love and what it means, and it's a sweet moment. I enjoy this. I enjoyed the performances here from both these actors. Seriously, if this was done by lesser actors, this scene would not hold. But you're in there, you're really captivated, even though it's a pretty drawn out scene of them talking back and forth. But I really enjoyed it. Loki karaoke. Later, kind of Sylvie falls asleep and she wakes up and Loki's singing some Asgardian songs and they're all dancing around. He's lost. He's shedded his disguise costume. And he's just back in his variant TVA outfit, and it's funny. Moving along, the workers figure it out. There's an action sequence now. They're fighting. It ends with Sylvie and Loki out of the train. They jumped out. It turns out that the temp pad, Loki landed directly on it, and now not only is it not charged, but it's just destroyed. It's been obliterated. It looks like a phone that I swam in the pool with when I was 12 years old. Just completely dead. Anyway, I used to break I've broken when I was little, I broke 4 phones of mine. Sorry, Mom. I love this part when Sylvie does the scream. And she has the magic, douche. That was very Wanda to me, Scarlet Witch. Those are the vibes I was getting. It was actually funny. Me and my girlfriend were watching, and her grandmother was sitting beside us, and she was kind of watching as well. And right after the scream happened, she goes, "Is she a witch?" And I'm like, "Well, kind of, but not really." Yes. But she uses magic, and I'm just that's a great question.
She's the Green Witch.
Yeah, it was funny. It was right after the Sylvie's the scream.
Yeah.
So now their new idea is to go hijack the Ark and escape on that, because they need to get off this planet before it blows up, or they're all just gonna die there, and then there'll be nothing at all. There'll be no purpose at all to their lives. This is the moment where I think we kind of had the idea of this before, but in this episode, they prove it once and for all that the TVA agents, the Minutemen, as they call them, are from Earth, essentially, or at least they're not grown from the TVA. They don't come directly from the TVA. The timekeepers didn't make them, or whatever they said. Hunter C20 is from Earth. Liar is right. I said they're all just variants, lies. I think Sylvie, is it here or somewhere else, calls them even a fascist organization, which I thought was so funny, Thomas, because we've been saying that.
It's the very beginning.
Yeah.
Talking about, making a Loki style, independence, style. So your natural first thing was to go work for the omniscient fascists.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that a lot. So there's that. We get that. They kind of tee that up for the second half of the season where we're seeing the TVA crack.
Mhm.
You know, we're seeing Loki kind of start to figure it out on where he's going to make the place burn. At least I hope. Finally, we're ending the show here. There's a lot of color, a lot of action in this final sequence of them trying to get on the Ark. I absolutely adore this scene. The budget in it is like, whoa, this is a movie. I mean, I honestly don't know if any of these, maybe a little bit in Falcon the Winter Soldier, but like this felt almost the most like a movie to me, where like it's all on top of you. It's coming down. The color is amazing. The CGI was like really, really on point for this one. I loved it. I thought, like I wrote on here, that they're flexing the budget for this show. Like this isn't just some normal like television show. This is a MCU series. Loved it. And then the big, one of the big kind of sequences or like moments of this final scene is when Loki stops this like building beam falling onto him and puts it back into place, which I kind of want to talk about in a little bit, because that to me, I was like, whoa, like since when could he do that? In the very end, they get nearly to the Ark. It gets destroyed as it's supposed to, because in that timeline, that's how it's supposed to happen. No one is supposed to get on the Ark. And they're left there. You see Sylvie just defeated, turns around, walks off, kind of admits defeat, and Loki just stands there in shock, and the credits roll. And Jasmine looks at me and goes, "That's it? That's how it ends?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." Like, I mean, I didn't write the show. I don't know. I was surprised by the way it ended like that.
It seemed like an odd point to end at, really.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I hope not, and I don't think we are. I don't want to spend the whole next episode on this planet again. I mean, I like it, but like I want to see different places, or at least go back to the TVA, which is the main place.
Yeah.
So hopefully whatever happens, like it gets resolved fairly quickly in the next episode. Like not too quickly as to like make it feel like it should have been this episode. Other than again, I mean, I'd be annoyed, but I wouldn't care that much because I'm eager to get more story. So yeah, but I know they're going to be on the planet for at least a little bit next episode, because I know there's some shots we haven't seen yet. So yeah, hopefully it's not the whole episode. I feel like I'm gonna be really annoyed if it's another hour of them on the planet.
I mean, I doubt it, right? Because that planet is that moon's about to blow up. At least it seems that way.
How do we think they're gonna get like saved then?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? It's like, where does it go from here? In my prediction is a bad one. I feel like the TVA just comes and arrests them. I feel like
I kind of think so too.
It's the most obvious choice. And I don't know why or how like they would be able to find them, but I guess they did. And I would love to see Mobius pop out of a time door and be like, "You're coming with me." Like, I can't believe you, Loki, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I can't imagine we spend a lot of time on the planet next time, maybe just a little bit. But my guess, I want to hear yours, Thomas, is just that the TVA somehow figures out they're there because Loki has informed them of this trick. So now they know to check Apocalypses. So maybe that's all they really need to find them eventually. Thomas, where do you think we go from here?
Okay, I'm going to bounce off what you were saying and continue that because I think Loki, the one we know and love, has been playing everyone this entire time. I feel like this entire episode is him absolutely just f***ing with everybody.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Because
why? How?
Okay, so
why and how? I
was trying to figure out like, why does he go through the door? And at the end of episode 2 was always what I was trying to figure out more. What is his motive? Based on what we've seen, it's the fact that he doesn't know answers, and that pisses him off more than anything. So he goes through the door to get answers. Then he instantly pops up back in the TVA and is like, huh, okay, well, this works out. This is how he gets his knives, which while we're here, it's one of my random notes by Thor, the cinematography focusing on the locker. And then the very next shot is an instant cut to just the dagger in the hallway. Beautiful, beautiful imagery and storytelling through imagery.
Yeah.
Then the entire episode, what does he do? He tries to get her to work together. And what does it do? It stops her from doing what she's doing. He gets in her way and stops her from succeeding at whatever it is her plan was, which he still isn't sure of, but he kind of talks out about. What, you're going to take out the timekeepers and then leave a power vacuum? I would never do that. Well, I'm not you. That's how we get into Loki. Here's my official, in that sense, sticking to your prediction, he is playing her, and it leads into, I think that the TemPad is not broken. It's just an illusion conjured by Loki to inspire fear in Sylvie to open up to him so he can at least, we're all about to die. Who cares? She'll then talk. Then he can get out of there.
I think we're both right. I think what's going to happen is that, and then the TVA shows up before he can actually use it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I also think
that would be a funny twist.
I also think they're gonna start the next episode by showing what was going on at the TVA while this was happening, and that's why it's gunning to the next episode so they can do that rather than, because I'm like, why isn't this just in this episode then? But no, I guess it's in the next one. Either that or the next one's another short one and they want to combine it. I don't know. I'm just like, why did they leave it at that specific moment? I don't know. I'm just kind of stuck on that a little bit.
They left it at that specific moment because all hope seems lost. So it's the very first Dark Knight of the Soul
there's
in
how
the
many
story.
episodes left. It's like, it's not like it's the one before the finale. We kind of know that they're not going to be stuck there for the rest of the series.
That is true. I will say it does
really...
it does feel very much so like an episode before a finale where
and we have 3 episodes left. That's half the show.
Hey, the one thing with Loki I think we can all agree on is this show is moving faster than we ever thought it would. With the character development and even the plot until this episode, I suppose. But the first 2, they're catching me by surprise. I think especially where they set the base for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where the pacing of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a lot more telegraphed to me and predictable than this one. Like I didn't expect this episode at all. And because they're making me look one way and then it comes from the other side because it's moving so fast. And then also in this one, character driven
projection.
There's exactly. There's one plot. There's the A plot. That is it. And then it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'm definitely kind of it's very unexpected, and I think they're doing a good job with it. I made a whole article last week. We were talking about all the different locations, and then that turned out to not be anything because I thought that was Vormir for sure. As soon as I saw the word Vormir, and I'm like, I've seen the trailer, I see the purple planet, it's Vormir. No, it's not. And
well, I wrote an article about it being the negative zone, maybe. Even though I hope it does show up at some point in the MCU, maybe in this show. But it wasn't that either. I will say I like that it was a new random moon.
I agree.
I liked venturing out. The one thing, Julia, when you listed all those out on the direct.com and I was reading through it and I'm like, I don't like how there's not some random planets that we've never heard of before.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, it almost feels like, because that makes it, to me, it makes it feel like more of an Easter egg to just look at and be like, haha, that's funny. Not like an Easter egg that's really vitally important where it's like, ooh, what's that new mysterious place, right? Even though we still don't know when Sylvie drops all those reset charges, what the ramifications were on that yet.
Yeah,
we leave episode 2 and the sacred timeline's branching out in 100 different directions. I mean, really don't know. So I like that prediction of yours, Julia, where next episode it's starting with the TVA side. It starts with Mobius and Renslayer and seeing what they're up to, what their response was, I suppose, to episode 2. And in a way, that could lead to episode 4 being Loki only on the moon, like him saying there. Because if it's a long scene, like 20 minutes of just Mobius, who knows? It could end up being this thing where it's really setting up for episodes 5 and 6. I wanted, if you guys didn't have anything else, I actually had a question for you guys about Sylvie.
Okay.
What do you guys think of just, I guess we kind of talked about it earlier, but where do you think she's from? Like what Loki, like what do you guys think her background is? Because I have a bit of an idea, I guess.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my like brief prediction is just that it seems like she was abandoned at some point or taken. I think she was taken I think there's an outside chance that she herself, her existence wasn't a mistake in the eyes of the TVA, and she was taken by the TVA because of it.
Yeah.
And she knows that because she knows it's more than about the TVA when she's talking to Loki in episode 2. She knows about how they're from Earth. She knows so much about them. I think maybe that the TVA, because in their eyes, maybe she was a mistake. She wasn't because let's think about this too. When the TVA was had that little group meeting, all the other Lokis, even though they were various looking, they all looked like Tom Hiddleston, even though they were big, massive, jogging, bike cyclist or whatever. None of them were women. And maybe the TVA and the timekeepers or whoever they are, Sylvie or that Loki was a mistake, and they took her in and they wanted her to be a Minuteman because maybe that's what they do. Maybe the TVA takes in these quote unquote mistakes and they bring them in.
I'm pretty sure they said that this episode, right?
Yeah, and they make them Minutemen of the TVA because they are in their mind quote unquote mistakes. But Sylvie's like, no, she's a Loki after all, I guess, in the show. And she's like, no, I'm not having any of that. And she's broken away and she's done her own thing. So that's kind of my prediction. Julia, what do you think?
I kind of think something along those lines. I have some notes. I should have find them. Hang on, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So there was one that was kind of like that. Basically, so there's this whole thing because people are who know about Sylvie's backstory in the comics and the different versions of Enchantress and Lady Loki are kind of basing it on that. She's a future Loki's daughter, which I don't think she quite is, or she's she's a Loki from a different timeline, but something happens and she wants to be here's something some people are thinking. I wasn't gonna do this one first, but this is one I think of first, so here we go. A lot of people are thinking that this Loki, so we know she doesn't want to be called a Loki. She's very adamant against it. She wants to be Sylvie.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she did this before she was initially captured by the TVA or after to avoid them or didn't want to be associated with Loki anymore. Mm-hmm. But she wanted to be seen as Sylvie, as female, and that's the TVA thought she was a mistake and brought her in because of that. I do think she switched for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that, but some people think because she didn't want to be seen as a male Loki is why they brought her in. I don't know if it would go that far, but yeah, I mean, I think people are just kind of excited after this episode's big reveal that, yes, we can have people who aren't totally straight in the MCU, because I know that was a big thing during Falcon people were talking about. And I know people were making the jokes in Endgame because the Joe Russo thing, yeah, that was dumb. That was him trying to show everybody he was woke, I guess. He was trying to prove everyone, I support the gays. I don't know. I feel like it had that energy of this old guy coming in and trying to fit in or whatever, shows it. So yeah, but this was a real representation, which is great. I don't know how much further they're allowed to go because I know Kate Herron said she knows it's a small step, but this is what we could do, and here it is. And she was kind of saying that on Twitter. Those were the vibes I was getting. So I don't know if it's going to exactly be a trans allegory, this thing, but I do think that, yeah, I think the TVA will have captured her or whatever. I don't know if it's because of that, but she does she either gets captured because of it, or she turns into Sylvie because she got captured.
Yeah.
And so I think she's been getting captured as a child because she said she's been escaping from them her whole life.
Right.
And yeah, so there's something like that going on.
I like that. Thomas, do you have any thoughts on this?
The factual information we got from her is that she taught herself the enchantment powers. Can we believe it? She is a Loki after all. That she only has fragments of her mother's memory, of a memory of her mother, because she died or was taken from her when she was very young. I don't remember the exact line. And then I think that's pretty much all the hard evidence we learned. Oh, well, that bit of both. She likes the guys and the girls.
Yeah.
That's about all the real hard information we get. The rest of it is all through subtext. What we actually learned about her is, she's not identical in thought pattern to this Loki. So different Lokis can have different thought patterns, can think differently, are independent, and are not always confined to the same things. She's colder, more calculating, hyper-driven and focused. She knew she was adopted. That's another important point. She was told that she was adopted at some point.
Yeah.
And she has trust issues, which is why her guard is up. All of this episode from Loki is to tear that guard down, which is why I think the Tim pad is not broken. I think that's his purpose. Find this Loki variant, get inside their head, figure out what makes them tick, what makes them different, and then figure out what to do. Obviously, our Loki never has a plan.
Yeah.
This Sylvie is very to the point. And as she says, no, I'm hedonistic, but when I have a job to do, I do the job.
Right.
And it's like, you got drunk. And he's like, well, no, I didn't. I'm just very full. So I think from all of that information that she's been running for a long time. And I'm wondering if she literally is the best Loki, which is why she changed her name to Sylvie as a means to stand out.
Right.
And I'm spitballing right now because I really don't know which way this is going to go, but she changed her name to Sylvie to stand out more, which could be why the TVA is actually after her. Now, they say if you're out of the thing long enough, you become a Nexus. It becomes a Nexus event. I think one of the characters that we have seen in this show is a Nexus character.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm thinking it's Sylvie.
Well, then how does that add up with her being a Loki then?
I mean, she's one of one, David.
Okay. Well,
she's the only one who goes by Sylvie.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, there could definitely be other Wandas out there that just are not the Scarlet Witch.
Well, I think, yeah. No, I don't know if I would agree. I like the idea, but I feel like, at least from my understanding, then she wouldn't be a Loki then, because they are variations of themselves. The Nexus beings are ones where they are just one of one, right? Like, say, Doctor Strange, maybe he becomes one of one.
It depends on how they want to translate it from the comics, because again, as we read a couple weeks ago, Kang the Conqueror is a Nexus being, but from a specific universe. That one is a Nexus being. And there's a specific Wanda that's a Nexus being. And they're not all from the same universe, like 616 in the comics.
This kind of goes with another theory I found. And it was one of the other ones I was going to mention, so it kind of fits.
Yeah.
So they're from different timelines, I think, Loki and Sylvie. So this is from, on Tumblr, this is from STFU Hats. Sorry, that's their name.
Thank you, Tumblr user.
I guess they don't like hats.
Hats. No, HATS. ETS, not A. They were both born in Jotunheim, got adopted by Odin. They were named Loki. A Nexus event happened when her parents told her from the beginning she's adopted, unlike with this Loki, obviously. It's also confirmed by Sylvie. She barely remembers her mother. She had taught herself magic since she didn't have anyone to teach her, and she's been hunted by the TVA her whole life. So basically what this person got out of this is she escaped from the TVA at a very young age, maybe a preteen, and her timeline probably got erased. And she doesn't like to be referred to as Loki, not because she's not a variant, because it's a dead name. There's also a high chance she was in male form before escaping, which I already said. And she dyed her hair. And and the reason he recognized her is because he sees himself in her, knows that TVA would struggle finding her, and that's why they needed 2012 Loki. There you go. So it is kind of like what I already said, but like a little bit more backstory. Yeah, they're from different timelines. So it is kind of
I like that for my theory, where like it was like, oh, she's female, like she's a mistake, right? You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna bring her in, like that's not how it's supposed to be, and then it comes to the whole thing. And I like the idea that she dyes her hair, because that was a question I think we all had. We're like, all right, maybe this is Enchantress, not even a Loki at all, because she doesn't even like physically, like Lady Loki in the comics has dark hair. She looks very similar to the Loki style, but just in a female form.
Right.
It's Lady Sif.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's Lady Sif, right? They just took her body.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Loki took her body and then put her in a dying cancer patient.
You love to see it. The God of Mischief.
The cancer in the Thor franchise.
Love is mischief. You know, I don't want to go too far down like my explanation of Sylvie, because it'll come back to my TVA theory later. unless we want to jump to that point.
I-
What were you going to ask,
We
David?
can kinda.
I was literally going to ask. So we've kind of talked about Sylvie, we've talked about
Mhm.
Loki. Loki in the first 2 episodes, we kind of got him down, right? Like we're getting more and more, but like Hiddleston's Loki, we're kind of getting him down, right?
Right.
Even though if Thomas's theory is true, then he's playing us all. What about the TVA, right? Like we didn't see them at all in this. Well, we saw them at the beginning of the episode. Excuse me. But we didn't see them in a lot of the episode. And now we know for 100% fact that these variants come, like these Minutemen, as they call them, come from Earth or wherever in the universe, and they were people at a time. Some that enjoy margaritas and going out on a Friday night and having fun.
That would be David, and then some who enjoy jet skis, Thomas from the 90s.
Hey, I'll take it. So yeah. Yeah, like Mobius seems like he might be straight from the 90s, which I think would be really cool. Like the fact that he likes jet skis, and it's cool because there was a theory already after episode 2 where it's like he's from the 90s, blah 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 blah, because he likes jet skis and all that. So with all that being said, now that we know that information as a fact, or if you don't even believe it, let's just take it as a fact. What does that mean for the TVA and possibly Kang? And where I want to hear someone else's thoughts before mine. Julia.
Okay. So with the TVA, I think there's 2 options for who's running it. And at this point, I think Kang is one, and the other is a Loki who wants to be the only Loki in the universe, and that's why he's really targeting Sylvie and other Lokis. Because I do think at this point, with the TVA, I'm thinking it's almost kind of not arbitrary necessarily, but like inconsistent on who gets brought in for timelines. Because like they're going to explain why Steve Rogers hasn't been brought in for like creating a whole new branch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is this like not a thing, or maybe they don't think they can use him or whatever? They don't want to use him like they can Lokis, but it's not just Lokis being brought in. I don't think, unless they're all Lokis, which I don't think they would be. Maybe, but. Yeah, they're all being brought in, so I think that's possible. But yeah, like they're picking people who I think, because when you get reset, I think at this point it doesn't mean you're set back to your timeline like it maybe originally sounded like. It is you're getting your mind wiped and put in the TVA.
Yeah.
As a worker. So there's that. So yeah, that's something for that. I'm thinking at the end of the series. Okay, so I did have a theory on this. So there's 2 theories I've seen. One I think is less plausible than the other. So I'll do the less plausible one first to get out of the way. Okay, so this is from MLG Virgil on Reddit. And they say, I bet TVA is going to stay and Loki will get reset. His mind will be wiped and he'll become another analyst. Maybe he'll free Mobius in the upcoming episodes, though. Slight foreshadowing in episode 2, and Mobius says, you're going to take my job if I'm not careful. I think that foreshadowing was like the only thing that really leads to this, because first of all, I don't think they're going to, if they wipe Loki's mind, I don't think it'll be permanent, because we just had this whole thing where we had his whole arc happen again. We don't need to see that happen a 3rd time. Like, I don't know. It's like Uncle Ben dying a million times. Like, we don't need to see that. It's gonna, I don't want to turn into that, but yeah, I do think that, like, I mean,
I'm
Loki
sad.
is gonna try and free Mobius, and he's gonna try. It says, yeah, it said, yeah, or if they go dramatic, or someone else says that if they go dramatic route, they might see Loki controlled by Sylvie, cause Mobius to die, and then be punished and reset to take his place in the TVA. I think it's Loki's still gonna be Loki by the end of this season, especially because we're getting a season 2 most likely. I'm assuming we are. And based on that, and like if the story's a whole story, like I don't think they're just gonna leave Loki high and dry like that. I don't think that would be that satisfying. So the other theory I saw, which is much more plausible, and like I kind of want this to happen, is okay. So I'm hoping the TVA isn't destroyed after the season. Maybe the TVA becomes repurposed, led by a council of variant Lokis. The mind wiped agents are freed, but some, like Mobius, choose to stay. The new TVA's purpose is to protect all timelines from other invasions, attacks, people going back in time to kill people, do other crimes, interdimensional time conquerors who might be named Kang, etc. I don't know what the purpose of the TVA post-Sacred timeline would be, but I hope they stick around. Renslayer and Kang lose control of that great power, leading to Kang's conquering. So that is from Alright, I'm Spooderman on Reddit. And I think that's kind of what could happen, because that like leaves the door open for another season, and it concludes things nicely for the season. But again, it like shows Kang and everything would be sticking around possibly, and it might lead to the quantum realm thing, which people are saying that the TVA might exist within, which I think makes sense, which because it's like, where the heck is the TVA? So yeah, so I think that is something that how the series can end, it would be satisfying.
I like the second one a lot, especially
the first one I don't like. The second one I really like.
Yeah, and I've heard that theory, the one especially where it's like Loki could be the one, or a Loki is kind of at the head of it. I don't I don't know if I buy that right now. It's maybe I'm still on board of Kang being involved in some way, even if they just name drop him at some point.
Yeah.
But
you want him to be involved?
What's that?
You want him to be involved?
I would like him to be involved, yes.
Then Kang is the center timekeeper.
Right.
And runs the show. There are no other timekeepers, just his generals and lieutenants. Double salute. And then really the only person who has any actual power is Renslayer.
Renslayer. Yeah.
It's Kang and Renslayer. Kang runs the higher up versions and Renslayer runs the TVA. And the Sacred Timeline is just the perfectly curated timeline where Kang maintains all of the control and power in his time. That's all he's ever cared about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me ask you guys.
That multiversal war that was mentioned did happen long ago, but long ago to Kang, which I think is our future. And it's ironic because if there is no sacred timeline and there genuinely is a reactionary force throughout time, then Kang setting up the TVA only for it to fall the way it does is what's going to cause the multiversal war.
Did you notice
Big
one
picture?
Speaking about like that, I think. But then again, I still want it left open where they are kind of in the doing something to do with the timeline, protecting it. So not protecting the timeline, but protecting time criminals or something like real ones and not the random whatever ones. Because that could be season 2. Because like I want season 2 to connect to season 1 somehow with this show.
Yeah.
I do I like the characters in this show and I want them to stick around. And I know some of them have contracts for future stuff, so it seems like they intend to keep them on hand at least, kind of like Catherine Hahn. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's one thing I noticed in the episode, speaking of kind of running off Kang being from the future, was so Sylvie, she's like, oh yeah, this variant, she's from like hundreds of years ago. Yet in her mind, in her memory, that seemed like near modern day. All right. So does that mean Sylvie's from the future? You guys know what I'm talking about? Where at the beginning,
I was trying to figure that out as well.
It wasn't a retro like that wasn't a whiskey like whatever like bar in the 1800s or something. Like it was modern day, them out for margaritas. So does that mean that Sylvie is from the future?
That is, see, here's the thing. Is Sylvie from the future or is that Hunter just from the future?
It's 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Maybe
Like
it's been like 100 years in TVA time. I don't know what that
That's
meant.
what I'm thinking as well. Like, I think it's just 100 person. If we're going to, we got to, right now, we have to establish a new time system. It's called the biological year.
Right.
Just so we can all understand how shit works in the TVA.
All right.
100 biological years, but because time works differently in the TVA, there's a potentiality that they use some kind of something where they don't age from that point forward.
Right.
So it's been around 100 years.
Something like that.
Or
Interstellar.
like you were saying, thank you. You knew where I was going to end up. Or like you were saying about Sylvie, she is from further in the timeline. But that wouldn't really make sense in terms of age of her, which
unless she's really Loki's daughter, like people are saying.
Yeah.
But I have some thoughts on that we can get to when we get to it. Why? What?
Loki's daughter.
It's the one thing I've been trying to avoid this entire series was to think about Loki's daughter.
Why?
Because with Hela dead, if they were to do it, the most logical person to do it with would be Enchantress.
Yeah.
And as soon as she showed up, I was like, is she going to be Loki's daughter? Like, that would be kind of cool. And she does mention the whole, I knew I was, like, if she knows all of Loki's story, then she only has to give bits and pieces. Well, I didn't know my mother, only fragments of my mother, blah, 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 blah. What? Okay. Because we're here and we're in the rabbit hole. What if Richard E. Grant is old Loki running the TVA, went to go kill Sylvie's mother, and Sylvie's on a revenge vendetta to kill her father?
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
just like
That's
Star
possible.
Wars.
Yeah, okay, I don't want just like Star Wars. Forget that. Okay.
I mean,
But I
it's
do
not
think
just like Star Wars, but
Sorry.
like that would be so much fun.
That would be
I
fun.
think that's possible, or maybe it could be a different timeline Loki that's older. I don't know. It doesn't have to necessarily be this Loki. Who knows?
Exactly.
Because remember, this Loki was supposed to die, and then he
in
didn't.
2018.
I think it was 2018.
2018.
Let me see your time. Yeah.
That's the right biological year.
Correct. Yay. Sorry. Yeah, I think that makes sense. However, okay, okay. Don't put it up yet, Thomas, but you have that graphic I sent you.
I do.
Okay, don't put it up yet.
Okay.
Because I think it's time, maybe we should address some other possibilities of this Sylvie person and Loki.
Okay.
Okay, so some people see them as like siblings because they're the same person, but differently, and they have the same parents, possibly, or at least the same biological one. There's been some other hints, and some things from the creators kind of give me this impression that maybe we're supposed to see them in a romantic context.
Right. Nice.
Now, I was more open to this with the possibility it was Enchantress, but now that we know it's an actual Loki from an actual different timeline, it's just like the same person with the same DNA, possibly.
Right.
This I'm kind of not as on board with. It's just kind of weird to me. But someone did have an interesting point about this, and this was someone on Decider.com, I think it was. Where's this? Okay. About Loki possibly, okay, like, I don't know. I want to know what you guys thought about this first. Like, how do you see them? And then we'll get into some of the theories and ideas that I've had. Their relationship, whatever it is.
When I was watching, I was getting like the weird vibes. It's like it easily, right now I feel like it's so early on. Like if you told me they were setting them up and they'd eventually be a couple, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But knowing like who she's supposed to be and how she like is a Loki, to me it seems more sibling like, or something like that, or even father-daughter potentially. But to me, it's more of a sibling relationship and less of or just kind of like, just kindled hearts that just kind of like they could understand each other more than anyone else. But there's nothing romantic there. But it's more of a like, you get me more than anyone.
I like that.
Which, holy shit, imagine if we get
is.
that kind of moment in like Spider-Man. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That'd be cool.
Of course you jumped.
What about you, Thomas? What are you thinking of this Loki Sylvie dynamic? It was like a whole episode. So
if I'm being honest, it's really hard to read because it's played in certain spots with a genuine attraction, which is kind of hard.
Hiddleston is so flirty.
It's hard not to do that when both people are attractive and really good at their job. Then you're just having fun back and forth and playing with the energy. So there are some places where it's genuine flirting. Our Loki of Tom Hiddleston has always got a flair for the dramatic and a flirt, similar to Thor, but more of a flirt than Thor up until Ragnarok, and then it just a hard shift. I think it's left open for interpretation in this episode so that we do speculate. It ends right there because, like I said, it's the Dark Night of the Soul, and I think it's the Dark Night of the Soul for Sylvie. I've got this weird feeling that the only person who doesn't go through any actual rough emotional drama in this series is our Loki, because he had it happen in the beginning episode. That he went through everything he needed to go through right there to change. So then he is able to help facilitate the evolution of these other characters, and that Mobius is going to have the TVA is all fake. I used to live on the earth. I had my life stolen from me. And Loki's going to be like, not to me. That's not what I see. And he's going to be there to help him. And so if Sylvie, and then Sylvie right here in this next episode, based on her body language, is about to be broken. We get that emotional shot of them sitting near each other. We all thought it was Black Widow. I definitely in the beginning was like, I did. Is it? Yeah, I didn't. I was like, I don't think it's Black Widow because that would be super weird. Why would she have Avengers hair, by the way?
Yeah,
when
that's
she
the whole
died
thing.
with the long hair. And I was like, but I'd already seen the Sofia DiMartino pictures from the set, ironically, from this set, this episode, because of all the rubble in it. I
don't think
recognize.
I saw any from. No, maybe I did. I don't know if I saw any from this episode.
I definitely saw pictures of her, and to me, it looked like this episode because they had specific rubble around and things. So I think it's left open for interpretation, and I think that our Loki might actually be the therapist here on out. He's the one who he doesn't have all the answers for himself, but when it comes to other people, I think he has the answers for them.
I do like that a lot. I also saw this is the decider thing, but okay, so if going with the option that it possibly is a romance drama, I mean, I'm still hoping it's not at this point. I'm hoping it was just like, I like that we're leaving these things to interpretation, like what are these relationships? It's kind of the same with Loki and Mobius, so they did confirm before the season started that it's not romantic. People are still taking it that way, but I know some other people see it as like, you were mentioning on Twitter, Thomas, like a father-son thing with Loki and Mobius. I kind of see it as that too, and then kind of a friendship. I don't really see it as romantic. I mean, I guess I'm not opposed if it happens. Like, I'm not really shipping it. I don't know. I know a lot of people are. But anyway, so the idea of Loki and Sylvie. So this person who is the person who wrote this, it's Megan O'Keefe from Decider.com, says, it's easy to laugh off the idea that Loki is falling in love with himself since he's an egotistical character, but if the character's later arc in the MCU films proves anything, he's also burdened with glorious self-loathing. If Loki does fall in love at all, it's a huge step forward for the character. That he falls for a version of himself that's also seismic, I don't know how to pronounce that word. It means he, like Frigga, says something in himself worthy of love. See, I guess that's kind of nice, but I don't want them to go all the way with it and make it like in a relationship. I don't want to see them kiss. I'm really worried they're gonna like do About to Kiss on the Rocks and then they get saved by the TVA next week. Like, I hope they're not that cheesy. Michael Waters said this was probably the most romantic episode, so hopefully we don't get anything beyond that. Please, please, please. I don't want. I'm not into this as a couple. It's just me. But yeah. I don't know. Like, it reminds me though, because like it's funny because get ready for the graphic, Thomas. So back when we were first getting previews for Loki and we saw Loki as the presidential candidate, I'm like, he looks like the Onceler from the movie The Lorax. Has anyone seen that movie?
Yes. I have not.
Okay, so you know the animated movie. It's based on the book by Dr. Seuss. Yep. The Lorax wants to save the trees. The Onceler cuts the trees all down, and then the Onceler's like, okay, someone has to fix this, and then it ends on that note. So anyway, in the movie, the Onceler's like this young, I guess he's in like his early 20s kind of guy. He's in his fresh face shows up, and he's like, he was gonna I forgot what he was gonna do. He was there, and then he ends up cutting down all the trees for like his company, and he turns into this guy with a green suit. And like, yeah, they call him the Greedler. So there they are. So there's, okay, for those who aren't watching, we just have a picture of Loki as the president and a picture of the Onceler in his green suit. You can Google it. So there they are. So they look pretty similar. So I had those comparisons. And then, so back when this movie was out, it was very popular on Tumblr. And this was funny because it was out in 2012, which was around the same time, because it came out in spring 2012 when First Avengers was coming out. And so people were really obsessed with the Onceler. He was like one of the Tumblr boyfriends. Yes, he was a popular animated character. And of course, you know, it's Tumblr. Everyone wants to ship him with someone, but it's like, who do you ship him with? You have the Lorax, who's like this, I don't know, not this human creature. I mean, I guess some people are into that. There's a couple of kids, like Zac Efron, Taylor Swift voicing kids. And you know, they're shipping each other. We don't want to ship the Onceler with kids. Then there's the Onceler's family members, and like we don't want to ship him with family. So instead, they've decided to ship him with other versions of himself. And I'm like,
okay.
The ship, like he had like this fedora hat and his vest on when he first showed up, so they called him the Onceler. And then the guy we just saw, the green suit guy, the Greedler, and that was like a whole ship. And then they turned the Greedler other colors and shipped him with each other. And I'm like, okay, well that's what they're doing, I guess. They do their thing. I mean, like, that's very weird. But now Loki is possibly going to be shipped with himself, and he looks like the Onceler. I'm like, did they just steal this from 2012 Tumblr? I mean, people on Twitter were saying this episode was like Doctor Who, which is like Tumblr's favorite show back then. So, and Loki, they love Loki. It's like, this is like, I don't know, they found old dusty notes from 2012, opened them back up, and like 2019, they're like, okay, let's make a show about it like this.
Yeah.
Well, what was Michael Waldron doing in 2012?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
don't know. Maybe he was. I don't know. Michael Warner, did you ship? Were you a one-cest shipper? Now it's Loki cest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
see-
yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not really. I don't know. I'm hoping they're like not a couple. I don't really care what else they are. The only thing is, if she is Loki's daughter, and I don't think it would be this Loki. I would hate to see him being a bad dad after the whole Odin thing. I don't know. I wouldn't like that if it's this Loki. Because, like, I remember being really scared in Endgame that Tony was going to be a bad dad after Howard, and then he was amazing, and I was really happy. But,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was very happy about that. But I was like, I'm worried like that. But if it's not this Loki, I don't mind so much. And I mean, it's better than shipping them, I guess. I don't know. Do they have the same DNA? This just grosses me out a little bit. I'm sorry.
Same. No, I think like when you asked the question initially, I'm like, yeah, it's a little too incesty for me. Even though they could probably like play around it, it's kind of like, like you're basically telling us that she is a version of him, and they're gonna have a romantic relationship. Like I kind of get like the metaphor of like Loki needing to love himself and stuff, but it's just like not in this way, please. Please not in this way.
Creative controls comment. Yes, Tom Hiddleston says, yes, you can't love another till you love yourself. He said that in an interview when asked if Loki was going to get a love interest. And I'm like, okay, is that a Paul Bettany in WandaVision thing? Where he's saying he's good, where it's going to have he's going to have scenes with an actor he's wanted to work with. Is this the same thing? Like, he's going to love himself. He's going to love a different version of himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, Tom, is this where it's going? Please no. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that's not
it.
Can
it not be it, please? Like, I don't know. I don't mind these vague relationships that don't have to be defined. I mean, like, ship Loki, yes, I guess ship Loki Sylvie if you want. I don't want to stop people. Like, it's not like it's minor and adult shipping I mean, it is incest shipping, kind of. I don't like that, but you know.
It's a little weird. Right? It's a little weird.
Sorry.
And I think, something I like is that Richard E. Grant is a Loki that is her father, and I like that idea.
Adopted father? Or do we think she's biological? I think he might be adoptive because wasn't in the comics she was found in Oklahoma, and I know she was in Oklahoma in the series. Maybe that was an Easter egg. I don't know.
I would say adopted, because she said she's adopted, and that's kind of like seems the way they're going. But yeah, on shipping them together, I hope they stick away from that. I think their relationship would actually be more valuable if it's not romantic, and a little more interesting, because I feel like once it becomes romantic, it takes on a whole new life. It can't be this like I like right now where it's like she could literally like slice his throat, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, like
I agree.
I'm not surprised that happened, right?
I like this. I like where we are with this. I was so worried the whole episode. I'm like, okay, are they gonna kiss in a second or something?
Oh man.
Oh no, are they gonna kiss? I was like bracing myself for it at multiple points.
Yeah, I mean the worst romantic relationship in MCU history is Sharon Carter and Steve. Like, oh my gosh. Like the fact that they
honestly, probably.
The fact that Russo brothers had them kiss in Civil War, and then the Russo brothers also had them end up with Peggy, like where was the like foresight on that one? Because watching to this
better be
day,
a different timeline. He was with Peggy. Like, this is why it can't be the same timeline, right? Because otherwise it's really gross.
Yeah,
I mean, more than
that's
it is
a little
now.
weird. That is definitely one of the weirdest things. But maybe that's evidence that this is possible. Thomas, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Okay, MCU, you're really throwing me off with these romances. Like, I'm not even that keen on most MCU romances. I like Steve and Peggy in First Avenger, and then I mean, like, I was not happy they were sent back together in the end because like they had whole other lives. We didn't need that. And WandaVision, I liked Wanda and Vision in, but I didn't even like them till like Infinity War as a couple. I'm like, I don't care about this till then. So yeah, I don't know, these romances, man. Like, they're not that good at it, and I don't want to throw incest into it. They're gonna make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, I like Pepper and Tony, I think, are great.
They're all right sometimes, I think. I think they ended on a good note in Endgame where they were like embracing each other's side.
Yeah, I love Pepper and Tony. And I actually, some people criticize how they took a break in Civil War. I liked that because, if you think about it, we're going down a rabbit hole here a little bit, but in Iron Man 3, his whole deal was he's going to give up the suit, give up being Iron Man, sort of. Yeah. And then it turns out he can't stop. And that's the whole thing that he explains in Civil War. It's like, but I don't want to. Like, this is me, and he has this responsibility, and he loves being Iron Man. And I love that relation. That's probably
And
my
then he
personal
had to
favorite
stop
in the
for a
MCU.
while in Endgame, and he learned. And then she learned to. She said, like, go, it's okay. She embraced that, and then she even joined him on the battlefield. I thought that was very nice. I don't know, because there were some movies I really like. I mean, my two favorite movies for them were probably Iron Man 3 and Endgame. First Iron Man was pretty decent too. Like, they're okay, but like, yeah, like I like those two movies for them because it was all about that. And yeah, they're pretty good. Like, they're decent. I'm not like freaking out about them. That's like the main thing I'm thinking about though. Like with First Avenger, where I really love the Steve and Peggy dynamic, but I do like Tony and Pepper a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Thomas, we haven't heard from you in a while, bud.
I know.
Any thoughts on this or any other theories you want to throw at me?
Well, as we all know, I love to throw things out randomly. Curveball. So on the whole romance side of things, I only ship Sylvie with one person, Valkyrie.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
If Valkyrie is looking for a queen, I don't think Jane Foster is in that. Not the way it's been portrayed.
I think it's going to be Lady Sif, but I'm okay with Sylvie.
Yes! Sorry. Bring Lady Sif back, damn it.
Lady Sif, I think, is in Love and Thunder.
I know that they've been teasing it, but I don't want to know anything.
Okay, I won't say anything. I know some stuff about Love and Thunder. I hope it's. I know, because we're not getting Carol Valkyrie, even if everyone wants it. I'm pretty sure, because I know that was like the big thing for a while.
Oh yes, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Nebula with Valkyrie, or maybe even Sylvie, but I don't know, because we don't even know if Nebula's gay, so we're not going to go there. I mean, we don't know if Carol's gay either, so we shouldn't go there either, I guess. But I mean, I'm down for it.
But I think Sylvie and Valkyrie, because I don't know if Sylvie's gonna die, but I got a feeling that there's some Loki in Thor: Love and Thunder, and if it's Lady Loki and Sylvie, it only makes sense that she goes in and is like, I can finally do whatever I want. I'm not restrained. Well, let me go do this thing. Oh wow, look at this person, a Valkyrie. Didn't know they were around anymore. What if Sylvie actually happens to look similar to the Valkyrie that Valkyrie was dating or was with?
I like that.
And so it adds this instant little connection. I ship Sylvie and Valkyrie because the chemistry between Loki and Valkyrie in Ragnarok was brilliant. The chemistry between Sophia and Tom is brilliant. With using the transitive property of simple math, that means Sophia.
That's how it works, right? Yeah.
It's exactly. Listen, normally, yeah, that is how it works. So Sophia and Tessa Thompson's chemistry, I feel like would just be off the chart, and I feel like their chemistry would be so off the charts that they'd have to be put together in a ship to be co-queens of Asgard. Give it to me, Marvel.
Totally.
That'd be so cool.
Marvel
I would
wants it
like
too.
that. I'm concerned Love and Thunder is really going to be busy enough as it is without any Loki, or especially such a character like Sylvie. But I mean, I'm here for it.
Well,
like Love and Thunder is supposed to be really busy of a movie. I'll say that. I won't say everything.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be kind of
yes.
cool.
Well, Gore the God Butcher wants to kill all gods. So yeah, if Loki is alive, and here's a weird thing with Gore. Gore can travel. In the comics, to defeat Gore, they had to use time travel to get 3 different versions of Thor to fight Gore all at once, through time periods and some Nexus event. It was 9 years ago, and I don't fully remember the arc.
Wow. Okay, I gotta read that run. That sounds interesting.
Brilliant.
I'm reading the Jane Foster one right now.
Cool.
So that one with Gore the God Butcher started a thing that led to recently the King in Black with Venom coming down, because the Necro sword that Gore uses is involved with the introduction of the symbiotes in the comics, and it led to this massive thing in the comics, War of the Realms, all the Thors, all the hammers. God,
yeah,
dang it was amazing. But I think that Thor: Love and Thunder, if they utilize some time travel stuff, and if Gore can travel through time, why would he not travel throughout all the times to kill all the gods? And if that means that's how we get Sylvie in the movie, you know, like she's still alive, doing her thing, doing whatever with time travel, and then she happens across them, that would be great. Sylvie, Valkyrie.
They might not do that, but you just gave me a theory. So the reason I'm thinking they're probably not going to do that is because this is coming like right on the heels of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and that's already like 2 movies where they're doing multiverse stuff. There's no way they can do multiverse for every single project. Like, they're not going to do it. They have to take a break. They have to kind of relax on that at some point, and like kind of do other stuff. And I think that's when they're going to do it. But I would be down for at the end of this series, if Sylvie ends up in the main MCU timeline and they run into her in Love and Thunder for a scene or two, that'd be cool. And then that could happen, like you said. But again, it's just such a full movie as it is, from what we know.
Yeah, I mean, from what we know, but you know, so was Ragnarok. Not even from
Ragnarok.
Not even from what we knew of Ragnarok going in. But you know, this
is already fuller than Ragnarok, and we don't even know everything. So I don't know, but maybe I would love it. But like, I don't want to get my hopes up for that.
We have. Let's see, we lost Hela and Surtur, which were both technically main characters in that film. We've gained Jane Foster and Gore. Well, I don't count them; they were barely a supporting character in that movie. I'm talking leads.
Yeah, Darcy wasn't in it either.
I know. What I'm saying is, in Ragnarok, we've lost main characters Hela, Surtur, and we've gained Jane Foster, Gore. Okay. And then now, in terms of our supporting cast, like all movies, like all movies in the MCU, you can support Flash anyone out. Everyone's like Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is a cameo. No,
obviously not. That's
so there's a lot of
Sif and the Guardians
things.
And others I won't mention because I don't
Guardians. Thank you. I forgot about them.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened. I don't think Guardians besides Star-Lord are in it that long. Star-Lord might be in it longer. I don't know. I won't say any more. But there might be other characters too from the MCU, like major heroes showing up in this. I don't know if that's actually happening. This is what I heard. We will see if it happens. So. If it happens, I don't think it'd be for full scenes, but full scenes, but not the full movie. But this is kind of wild. But I mean, she could show up. Like Sylvie could show up for like a scene or two. I don't think she could be a main character just because. Don't think it makes sense for her to be a main character.
No, it wouldn't make sense for her to be a main character. I agree with that, but to become co-queen,
I don't know why I'm not keen on Kid Loki. Maybe I'll love him if he shows up in this series, but I so far like the idea of her being in the movie more than Kid Loki.
I don't like. I'm not that. Kids are loud. Okay, so that's why I'm not keen on Kid Loki. No, I kid. I'm just a child. So kids are either. Kids don't follow the rules when we do lightsaber battles. That's why I'm not a kids person. I get frustrated. Follow the rules.
Basically. So I don't know, but like I'm down for that ship to happen. I think Lady Sif is more likely, or maybe someone new. I don't know. I think it's gonna be Lady Sif and Valkyrie in Love and Thunder. But anyway, I'm
cool with that.
So that's a lot we got going here. Anything else in this episode? I think I have more, but anyone else? I don't know. I'm not leading this podcast. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just took over like that. I'm sorry.
I didn't have much else personally. I had one thing where I was curious your guys' answer to this is where you think Sylvie's place in the MCU is after this series. Does she make it out alive? Is she going to be in, like you guys were talking about Thor, like is she going to be leading one of the leading women or characters, heroes in Loki season 2 if it does happen? Because it seems like I don't think she's gonna die just because I feel like she's getting set up
that's
to
what I want to talk about.
Yeah, like
she might die. I had an idea based on that line I was mentioning that wasn't filler earlier, but I don't think it's gonna quite be like that because I do think they're gonna keep her around because stuff in the new preview, and I don't want to say what it is because of Thomas, makes me think this won't happen. Okay. So basically. So I do think we're going to go with the TVA saving them from the planet. However, there was a line, like when they were talking at the table on the train, they were saying, okay, where's the line? Okay. So they're talking about the old woman who was left to I don't know why she was left there to control the power or something of the planet. Why was she left there? She was the designated, the old lady left on the planet. Because they said they left her to die.
Oh.
Yeah.
They didn't bring her with her, is what I'm guessing. Is they're talking about Loki's themselves left her to die?
No, we're talking about the woman who was left to die on the planet. I think, it says, okay, so they brought us the woman who was supposed to die on the planet, and then this exchange happens. They said she was in love, and then the other one said maybe love is hate, and then should probably remember that. So maybe, I don't know, if it does turn into a romance, maybe my theory was Sylvie would be saving him. She would stay behind, but then somehow she would escape. We wouldn't know this. We would see her later, possibly either at the end of the series or post-credits scene. And then she shows up in something else. Maybe that's how she gets into the main timeline. I don't think this is happening now, though.
Yeah.
Stuff from the new preview has me thinking that's not happening.
Right.
But,
Right.
Yeah, but maybe something like it happens later on, because I do think that's an important exchange.
Yeah.
Maybe love is hate. Maybe that's the line.
Maybe.
Again, maybe that makes me worried about, more shipping stuff with them. But maybe hopefully it's a different kind of love.
Yeah. We've covered that today.
Wait, no more of that, please.
We don't need to go down the Back to the Future roads.
No. I mean, that's a good movie, but still, yeah.
Best of roads. Anyway, I will say, like, one prediction I had kind of wrapping up here about Loki and where I think this is going to head into maybe a Loki season 2 is I think maybe different from what one of the theories that Julia said earlier was I feel like Loki's going to have an ending where the TVA is in some sort of shambles. That's what I believe still. I believe that it's going to end and the TVA is going to be burning to the ground. And that leads to Spider-Man and Multiverse of Madness. And then I think whatever happens by the end of Multiverse of Madness and future films will then lead into maybe a Loki season 2. But in all honesty, I know there's been rumors and I'm not convinced there's going to be a Loki season 2, despite, creators saying, oh, we'd love to do it, blah, 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 blah. Like, that doesn't mean to me there's actually going to be a season 2, because I could see
There's
where...
more evidence that there is than that.
There is, right?
There's Production Weekly.
I will say, I'm just not convinced yet, personally. Like, I see the evidence, so it makes me think that it's going to happen, but storytelling-wise, from what I think... It's just not, I'm not sure I quite see it yet, even though I would want it. And I think it's a good way to keep Hiddleston in the MCU, doing some sort of like time jumping adventures. But the only reason I'm kind of saying this is because I feel like season 1 is serving such a purpose in the greater MCU and setting up such great things where, it's not just this side story where I feel like a season 2, they won't do this, but has more potential to kind of become its own side story besides like not setting up what it feels to me, setting up possibly Spider-Man and almost certainly Doctor Strange. I could see where season 2 would almost be its own story. Kind of like you said, Julia, earlier with the theory being like, if the TVA kind of doesn't get burned to the ground, but it transforms and evolves and turns into a new entity.
I think the TVA could burn to the ground, and then
build it back
there's
up.
some technology left over, and there's some of the agents, like probably Mobius, because everyone likes him and wants him to stick around. Maybe some other people, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to take care of this ourselves or whatever, or deal with it. Not like in the same way, but like protect them from other things. There'll have to be an explanation as to why they wouldn't be in like Doctor Strange 2 if that happens, or maybe they are. I don't think they are, but like maybe they are. But yeah, Doctor Strange has to deal with his thing. Maybe they'll go to areas where there isn't like a Doctor Strange to help them or whatever. Right. But I do think like they'll have to, I don't know, because it tells a full story. So there's, I think it's gonna like, I think they'll leave it open till they can't do more time travel stuff or whatever. Like they'll have to rebuild the place or make a new plan, or they'll leave it at a point where it could be satisfying if there wasn't a season 2.
Yeah, I hope so.
People could want it. I don't know. Like I think it will be satisfying if there isn't a season 2 based on what they've been saying. But like I want to leave it to a place where they could do a season 2, and I think TVA may be literally burning to the ground, and then them talking and like using their powers to get like their technology together and deciding the people who decide to stick around. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
that's just an idea. I feel like that's having cake and eating it too. But yeah, I do kind of think TVA has to burn to the ground just because that's been the big line, right?
Yeah, and I want to see it, man. I want to see it burned to the ground in some form or fashion, right? Like I feel like that's where we're getting to as well. And like you said, I think last week, Julia, I think Charles Murphy said it, like it's simpler than we think sometimes, right?
Well, it's funny because I've been thinking of that, and I think last week when I said that, we were talking about the jet ski theory that Mobius was from the 90s and all the TVA agents were like, doing things. I'm like, is that too complicated? Like that sounds amazing, but it's too complicated. Nope, they're doing it.
Yeah, I had
it's simple enough because they explained it in a single line. Like that's still simple we thought it was a complex idea, and it is. But if you can explain it simply, that's the key.
So
TVA burns to the ground, and then the people left decide to reform it or whatever. They're simple, explained in a line.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I had one question for you guys, which I meant to ask earlier, but now I'm glad I remembered it. It's a simple question, I think, but I think it's one that needs to be asked. Yeah. Is Kang becoming Loki's version of WandaVision's Mephisto?
I just crossed my mind today.
Every single time anyone's talking about Loki now, any of these shows, plenty of other podcasts and shows talking about it today, this weekend, Kang comes up. A million articles about it. Kang. No one has actually mentioned Kang in the show. There hasn't been much inclination except for the Jonathan Mayers possible lookalike timekeeper. We know he's going to be in Ant-Man 3. Jonathan Mayers denied him. He had no idea what they were talking about, he said, when asked about Loki. Exactly. It's in quotes, but there's still a possibility where he's just not in it at all. Julia, what do you think?
I have a thing that fixes all of this.
All right.
So Kang isn't running the TVA. It's the Loki or whatever. However, Kang shows up in a post-credit scene, and then Renslayer's there, and she ends up going off with him, maybe, and then they're both in Ant-Man 3. So technically, Kang is in Loki. Jonathan Majors is appearing. There's also the Renslayer factor.
Yeah.
And then they both go into Ant-Man 3, because they said this is Renslayer's origin story, meaning she's going to be doing more stuff. So maybe she turns bad or whatever.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah, so maybe that's how. Because otherwise, yeah, maybe, or I hope Kang actually shows up at least in the post-credit scene, because like there is more evidence pointing towards the possibility than Mephisto. Mephisto was just an idea. Kang has a casting at this point. Kang has a confirmed appearance.
That's true. And
so I mean, it is kind of giving me those vibes that people are like insisting it's Kang and no other possibilities. But at the same time, like we at least know he's coming, so it's not as wild as Mephisto.
And I'm not saying that Kang is Mephisto in that sense where he's like it's all smoke and mirrors and we keep speculating for no reason. But it's just I think it's a question that should be asked, right? Because
it should be. I think people are getting their hopes up too much in general again for certain things in this series. I mean, I didn't get my hopes up for a thing, and then I got it. I got the TVA agents are secretly or like whatever. So I'm happy with that. But you know. People are kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's not as bad as the Mephisto stuff. I think some people learned from WandaVision.
Yeah. What do you think,
And
Thomas?
I'm glad this wasn't the first show now.
Yeah. I do think Kang is slowly becoming the Mephisto of the will he show up? When will he show up? However, like it's already been said, we are actually gaining evidence pointing closer and closer and closer to Kang. Based on the appearance of one of the timekeepers, which we saw another version of that again today, yesterday, when there's a specific shot in the TVA. She's at the elevators. She flips, purges. We're going to say purge. She forever purges the TVA fascist. And then on her reverse shot of her like smirking behind her, it took me 12 tries to get it to pause right, was the timekeepers. And one of them, the only one that they ever effing focus on, is the one in the middle.
Yeah.
It's always the one in the middle. And this time, it showed from like nose all the way through. And it was a dude's facial structures and how they were drawn in an anime style, which, you know, the way that you draw the eyebrows and the furrowed version of the brow, very guy. So again, we have evidence like Kang, but they just don't want to say it. Then there's rumors that Kang will appear, but there have been far more hush hush. There's been rumors by Marvel Studios themselves that Loki's going to tie in with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I think once they started realizing all the hype and the discussion going around WandaVision and it tying in, they realized that they should probably pull back a little bit, because I do question if Loki's going to tie in far more directly to Doctor Strange because of the Michael Waldron connection than WandaVision ever did. WandaVision had to set up Wanda for being the Scarlet Witch, which had to have happened before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Which it could have just popped up but
There's
because
definitely
they
more
have
of
Disney
WandaVision
Plus.
in Doctor Strange than just her being the Scarlet Witch.
Well, yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that the actual plot of everything and the choices of the plot of the show is going to tie in more to the plot of the movie than WandaVision does. I think
Yes,
WandaVision will be
maybe.
focused on her, and the stuff from Loki will be the bigger picture items.
Yes. The thing is, I think they have to find a way to explain things very quickly in the movie for those who didn't have access to the show. Because not every country has Disney Plus right now. And I don't think every country will by the time this movie comes out. So, and like, if they're showing it in China, Disney Plus is not in China right now. So,
Raimi, and Raimi did say that he wants you to be able to walk into Multiverse of Madness not having seen anything else and still enjoy it. So, I mean, but I think any filmmaker would say the same thing about any of their movies.
They said the same thing about Endgame. So,
yeah,
it was about Endgame and Infinity War.
There's levels to it, right? Like a casual fan can sit down and watch anything, and if it's a fun, entertaining movie, like they're gonna enjoy it. But us fans, such as Endgame, you know, having seen every single movie dozens of times, it makes it so much more enjoyable. But it still could be enjoyable.
Made 4, yeah.
But I think with
the thing is, not
Multiverse
all
of
these
Madness,
solo movies can be made that way.
yeah,
Because
totally.
that's an Avengers movie. That's a different breed. Sorry, everybody.
No, that's true.
No.
And Multiverse of Madness, I think, is lining up to be a bit of a cross, like this kind of team up ish deal.
You could say that about like almost any movie coming out next year except for Black Panther.
Yeah,
Thor's been described the same way.
Definitely Thor. Yeah,
Captain Marvel too, or not? The Marvels is a team. They're the Marvels, and who knows who else could be in that movie. So yeah, and like Doctor Strange is going to be like a mini Avengers thing as well. Supposedly, people now are saying.
I love it. Yeah, I love
like,
it.
They can't all be that, and they have to be explainable to some people. Like Black Panther kind of has to stand on its own because it's his own thing, kind of outside the MCU. Like it's a global phenomenon outside that kind of. So it kind of has to be. Right. But yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. Yeah, I'm just really curious to see how they tie in the movie stuff to the show stuff because we haven't gotten any movies since the show started.
We have not. Yeah, Black Panther or Black Widow. Excuse me, coming up.
Black
soon.
Widow is 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thomas,
I'm sorry.
Thomas, do you have any closing thoughts on Loki episode 3, Lamentis?
I do.
Yes.
Love is a dagger, a weapon to be wielded up close or from afar. See, that part of the metaphor totally lands.
See, I
that's
like
not
that
wrong.
They act like it was a terrible thing. I'm like, that was actually kind of decent.
It was decent up until a specific point, but if you take what he says and then you also have love is hate and love is mischief, it makes love a dagger very easily. The one final random note that I didn't get to mention earlier in that final long badass action one shot, I'm pretty sure that's where it is. Loki gets one arm picked up and his other arm thrown, and he just swings on through with a green force push. Told you I'd make another Star Wars reference later about the force.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind at 2. I was like, he just did a green force push. I don't know why I'm freaking out about this. So it's exactly how that went down. Great episode. I love again, it's a small character driven episode.
Yeah.
That ends up going, again, this is why I think Loki is playing everyone. It feeds into the chaos. It's pure chaos. The entire thing. If his plan is to just cause as much chaos and figure out what he needs to learn, to figure out what he really needs to know to fix whatever situation and get on the best version of him at the end of this entire story. Like that is his mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's the character of Loki. So I'm just thinking that he ran away from the TVA to piss the TVA off, just to mess up everything going on with Loki, to piss her off, to get everybody to get in the information on both sides that he needed to figure out what's really going on. Because again, it was pitched as the first time we've ever seen Loki on his back foot behind the 8 ball with no information and having to catch up, which is what Hiddleston loved about this version of the character.
Yeah.
So now we've hit the dead center point of the season, and now he knows something very important that he didn't know at the beginning, while still not knowing a bunch of stuff that he needs to know for the end. And I think episode 4 is going to be, I have this feeling it's going to be 50 minutes. It's going to be so packed. It feels like a 2-hour movie.
I hope so.
I don't know why. I just feel like so much is about to happen in the next episode. And then what's going to happen in 5, and then how it all plays out and resolves in 6.
Well, if everyone remembers when Tom was asked which ones he was excited for us to see, and some of the others too, 4 and 5, 4 at the end of 4, beginning of 5, Loki at his lowest point in the series.
Can't wait.
Does Sylvie die? I mean, we see him carrying around her stuff, or does she disappear? Because I don't think they're going to totally get rid of her. But
no,
there's not getting rid of her that easy.
Yeah, you can't get rid of a Loki that easy. We've learned that.
No.
You can't keep a good Loki down.
I mean, look how many times this Loki's popped up. He died like 3 times, and here he is.
Yeah.
No more resurrections.
Julia, this is your 2-week experience on LightsThunderAction. I hope you've had a fun time. We've had a blast having you.
Wow.
We've had such great conversations about Loki episodes 2 and 3. Thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone listening. Thank you so much. We love talking about Loki. We will be keeping it up, Thomas. Man, we got 3 more Loki episodes to go. I wish there was more than that, man. It's gonna be sad when it ends.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't know what I'm gonna do every Wednesday after this ends. Like,
what
it's
if?
It's gonna make work suck so much.
What if? Yeah.
We got What If coming.
Yeah.
Party Thor.
But we don't know when that's premiering. Just August.
August. Yeah.
August is not a date.
Rumor had it was like the first third or so of August. I don't know the date. I'm sorry, I don't know, but it's gonna be August. I'm pretty sure.
What's August 12th, David? What comes out August 12th? Something's August 12th. I know Suicide Squad is the 6th.
6th. No.
So what's the
I don't know
12th?
what August 12th is.
Shoot. I think you're right. I don't know what it is though.
Let's look. Okay, so August.
The 12th is a Thor's Day. So I have no idea what that is.
Movies that came out August.
It might be a show.
No.
Maybe.
I'm not. Sausage Party came out 5 years ago.
Hello?
It's not this. Sorry, I'm Googling.
I don't know if they're
it's Free
gone or
Guy.
I'm
Free Guy.
gone.
It's Free Guy.
Free Guy. Hey, there we are. Technology.
Free Guy comes out the 13th, so yeah, it'd be in previews on the 12th. And theaters will be open probably here by then, so I'll get to see that one in theaters.
That's what I like to call Yeetery Express. Julia, where can everyone find you on social media?
Okay, you can find me at Julia Delbel on Twitter and Instagram. And TikTok, actually uploading stuff there. I did a little unboxing of Mystery Mini, and it got over 600 views. So I guess people like that. So maybe I'll do more when I get more Mystery Minis, because I like them better than the big Funko Pops. It's just like these little things you get in a little box, and you don't know which one you're gonna get. There's different ratios. Anyway, so yeah, those 3 at Julia Delbel. Twitter, I'm not Twitter. Reddit and Tumblr, I'm Forever True Blue, one big word. And YouTube, I'm Julia Delbel. I'm also going to be, for the next 2 weeks on Wednesdays, I'm on Boardwalk Times Multiverse of Marvel podcast. So if you're excited to hear this show on Thursdays, but you don't want to wait that long to get Loki content, if you want a little something beforehand, tune into there, and I'll be on there with a bunch of cool people on that site next week and the week after on the next 2 Loki days. And yeah, and I'm on the direct, and I'm on, if you go to my Twitter bio, you'll see a lot of the links to sites I'm on. I won't bore you. I know I'm on a lot of places. I'm the floater. I'm always the website bridesmaid, never the website I don't know. Like, I'm not the star of anything. I'm just kind of everywhere.
That's understandable. I'm the same way. David, where can everyone find you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can find me at my name, David Thompson, on Facebook, at David J. Thompson on TikTok and Instagram, and at David Thompson with 2 A's in the David on Twitter. Please, guys, go follow me over on Twitter if you want to hear about my thoughts on anything nerd and movie related. That's where I like to talk the most about all of this good stuff we talk about here on Lights, Thunder, Action. Thomas, where can everyone find you?
You can find all of my links at Linktr.com/TCRochesterACT. That is TCRochesterACT. There you will find the links to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, website, IMDb, LightsThunderAction, the shop, LightsThunderAction's website. Oh, God, I'm everywhere as well. Next week, Took me a second. I choked on my own spit, guys. Next week, we will be back on Thursday, July 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Leah and Beth Ann from She Will Rock You Pod discussing Loki episode 4. And the week, 2 weeks from today, 2 weeks from this week, after the Wednesday, Loki 5, we will be discussing that with Kleinfeld. Time and date to be determined. Why? Because Black Widow comes out that Thursday night.
Interesting week for sure.
And you bet your sweet ass I'm going opening night. And then I don't know how to do math. 3 weeks from today, on the 15th, we will have Liam Crowley, who was just on with us Tuesday. He'll be back to discuss the finale of Loki. Boy. And we'll also have a regular show sometime early next week. We haven't nailed that down yet.
We have not.
So we have not. David, do you have anything you want people to watch before, anything you want to promote for them to watch or check out? Specific.
Yeah. I'm on the Direct podcast tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
That is publishing, I think, in the morning in the AM on Fridays now, because I think they switched up their scheduling. It used to be on Sundays, and now it's on Fridays because of Wednesdays are the new Fridays, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I am on the Direct podcast tomorrow. You can find that I think on Apple and Spotify and wherever else you listen to your podcast. I'm on there for another MCU draft, which was pretty fun, pretty exciting. So go check that out, everyone. That's pretty much it for me.
All I have to say is if you like Loki, go watch Legends of Tomorrow. I cannot hype this show up enough. Everything you're talking about, what you want Loki to be next season, is Legends of Tomorrow. After, honestly, skip season 1 if you have to. Watch season 2. It goes from drama to batshit bonkers comedy.
Yeah.
And it happens very fast. And that's the best part of the show. And I'll give a little behind the scenes. If you're wondering why their chemistry is so good, they don't really read the script. They know the story, know the character because they've been the characters for so long. They show up on set while they're getting lights and stuff set up. They spitball some ideas. They think about stuff. Then they joke with each other until it's action. And then they do the scene and they just wing it. And I'm like, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. So that's why the show works. It's brilliant. Legends of Tomorrow. Illegally download it or go to the CW app or Netflix for seasons 1 through 6. As well as buy the art behind me. J Bauer art to the right, to my right. That's still the same. And then to my left is Marcy Moon art. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of the show. You've survived. As always, there could be no show without the Clark Kent doppelganger to my right. World famous journalist David Thompson, bringing the news and spicy webs. Thank you to Julia Delbel for joining us again on a back-to-back week. Last week, she was the expert, having seen the first 2 episodes well in advance. And now she's on the same boat as us. The Ark. It's crashing. We're dying. Thank you to Terry McIver for his hard work behind the scenes with guests, socials, and research, without whom the show would be Bush League. Thank you to the HWWS family for supporting us and carrying us on the network. And most importantly, thank you to our fans that join us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube,
or listening via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or Spreaker.
We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Please follow, subscribe, drop us a comment, leave a review, and give us 5 stars. If you're feeling generous, we appreciate all of your support.
As always, I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
And I'm David Thompson.
And I'm Julia Delbel.
Julia Delbel, sorry.
No, it's okay.
It happened.
It's okay.
Thank you. That Julia Delbel. Thank you for joining Loki special episode 3 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We'll see you all next week for all time.
Always.